Okay, check it out. We are on to the electronics. Finally going to get these servos installed. I'm using the same servos that came in the plan, like I said earlier, the HS5085MG servos. Exactly what the plan's called for. I've obviously already cut the plate and installed my switch and installed the servos. The plate luckily is cut exactly to the proportions it needs to be cut for the build, for it to fit into the fuse, and I'll show you that here in a second. A couple things you need to know. Obviously I'm not using the rubber grommets and I'm not using the brass bushings on the servos. If you try to use these on this flat piece of board, what's going to happen is you're going to have a whole lot of play and way too much give for the servos to work properly. So what you're going to need to do is just put these in your box with all your other stuff and take those out and use a different screw compared. This is the one that came with. Let me show you the difference. I'll zoom in here. Okay, this is the screw that came with the servos. These are the screws that I'm using, and you can see the difference. If you remove the rubber grommets, you remove the brass bushings, this screw is no longer going to give you the bite that you need into just a solid piece of wood. So by removing this, and obviously look at the threads on that screw, there's no bite at all. I would highly recommend getting a shorter, fatter, stubbier screw with a lot more thread to bite into the wood, because we're not screwing into plastic at this point, we're screwing straight into wood. So I would highly recommend doing that. As far as the servo installation and the switch itself, I think everything went just fine, and it's ready to go into the fuse. So let's go over and look at the fuse real quick. Okay, I think you can see that obviously I haven't done anything at this point. And like I said, I have not cut this board. This board is exactly as it came in the kit. All I did was install the servos and install the switch. And actually I still need to put one screw in. The screw that I left out of the other process. That in before I forget. Okay, and basically all you need to do is swing all your wires forward and slide this in sideways. So after we get it positioned based on what the plans tell us it needs to be, it's pretty simple. Obviously we're just going to epoxy this in, and we're pretty much done. Not a whole lot more to that process. I'm using a 1600 milliamp life battery that's going to be running on 6.6 volts. So and these high-tech servos are rated for 6.6 volts. This is also a lot lighter than the equivalent as far as an iCAD or Eneloop. It might be something you might want to consider. I think the Eneloops are 2000 milliamps. The 1600 versus 2000 on a glider, I'm not too concerned with it, considering the weight difference. Pretty huge weight difference. So don't forget, you're going to need a charger to be able to charge a life battery. But anyhow, so it's time to epoxy this stuff in. And once it's epoxied and ready to go, it's just a matter of hooking up the servos, and shouldn't be long now, fellas.